already.
Very nice.
Tonight's Modern Men is powered by the Hero Initiative. If you'd like to be a hero, go to heroinitiative.org and see how you can give back to some of your favorite creators that are in need. Once again, that is heroinitiative.org. What's going on, guys?
Wow.
It's Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Very
Big
nice.
thanks to World once again for that intro. Welcome to Modern Men Mondays, guys.
Very nice.
Our esteemed panel here. First off, Andy, I've had a chance to talk to you for a while. How's the beard, man?
Oh man, this thing is perfect.
This
thing is coming in.
He's got the comb already in his hand. It was already in his hand. You knew it was already in his hand.
We had that professional trim last week, man. This thing's going great.
Very nice.
Awesome. Oh, man, I cannot wait to hear you talk about Walking Dead tonight, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But below me down here, for you guys watching on the YouTubes, the Twitches, and the Facebooks, we got DiscoveryBay Comics. JB, what's going on tonight, man?
Oh, man, I'm excited about this one, too, actually. Not only the book, which I liked. We'll get to that later, but I think our topic is fantastic, and I think my list was going to surprise you. You know,
absolutely. But yeah, if you guys hadn't figured it out tonight, the randomizer last week revealed that we're reading Walking Dead Volume 1, one of the top most important reads of the modern era, without a doubt. It was pretty much mandatory reading for this show, and we actually drew it on the randomizer. So we're going to talk about this tonight, and we're going to talk about our top 5 live-action television shows. Well, I know some of you guys are thinking, like, I want to talk about cartoons. I need to talk about Batman, the animated series, and all these other shows. We'll get to that eventually. That's just a topic for another time. I wanted to break up between live action and cartoons because that would be impossible to throw those two together, in my opinion. But before we do all of that, you guys know what time it is. I got to get to that chat. First on to the chat, we got Ricky Markstadt. I always like seeing Ricky in the chats. He was first tonight. He beat Bad News. Chris Barrett, how you doing, man? He's already putting lists in the chat tonight, too. Keep these lists coming, guys. We'll just go ahead and read them as we go. Another one of my favorites, Mr. Gretzky, 9966 in that chat. Look at his top 5 list already. He's got Incredible Hulk, the 1990 Flash, Lois and Clark, New Adventures of Superman. Gotta love you some Terry Hatcher. Batman 66 and the Green Hornet. Solid list there. Chris Barrett has The Gifted, Clone Wars, Cloak and Dagger, The Boys, and Addams Family. Someone's got a sweet wind chime going. And we got ComicManAndy. Scott Evans is in the chat. How's it going, Scott Evans? He's been doing a great job keeping up with his homework on the Modern Men Reading Club there. So big thanks to Scott Evans. Let's see who else we got in the chat. Mark Knapp, 68. How you doing tonight, man? Let's see. Big Will has arrived. I know, JB, you're excited to always see Big Will arrive.
Oh, yeah. I love that intro. I have arrived.
We got Mark Spector Comics saying, hello, everyone. And without further ado, I think we're ready to get into our book tonight, which is, once again, Walking Dead #1. So, actually, Andy, I'm going to let you take this one away because I know this book means a lot to you.
Oh, man. Are you sure? God, you're giving me goosebumps, man. You're giving me goosebumps.
All right, man. I'm ready for this. I've been really excited about this.
I'm really excited. Maybe I'm more excited than when we read Saga, actually. So this book brought me back into comic books. Like when Walking Dead came out, I noticed, like a lot of other people did, and I wasn't collecting at the time, and I got back in because of The Walking Dead. It was different, at the time, and the premise was like, yeah, I gotta check this out. And you know what? First thing that came to my mind is, how do you do a comic book? How do you do a trade paperback in black and white? This is the first thing that came to my mind that I wasn't too happy with. But it fits. It fits. I mean, how many other trade paperbacks or how many other comic books out there are doing black and white? And at the time, even. Yeah. But it fits. It builds the story. It builds the world. It helps build the characters. I love it.
Does it ever transition into color, or is it always black and white the whole time?
It's black and white the whole time, is it not, Carson?
Okay. Yes, it is. It's
yeah.
minus
I don't read it. That tells you how much I've read.
Yeah,
You know? Never opened a single comic ever.
I still have like the last like eighth of the series to read, like the last 5 or 6 trade paperbacks that I haven't caught up yet. But this brought us back. This brought us back so much to the point when the comic book came out. That was the first big purchase I made when getting back into collecting. Is I bought a CGC 9.8 #1, and it was the largest purchase I'd ever made. And at that time, it was probably a few $100s. That one book paid for the entire open bar at our wedding when we decided to sell it in 2012.
Whoa!
Oh yeah,
nice.
still, my heart still sings that. You know, I mean.
You had one.
A little torn that I don't have that book, but that was probably the best decision of a sale.
Man, what a party to pay for. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Paid for the entire open bar at our wedding. And this is probably the floppiest, most beat up trade paperback in my entire collection. This has been to other states. This has probably seen 10 or 12 different friends. The entire collection rides around in a long box, and I deliver it from friend to friend to friend to read. And it's like, you got to check this out. And I'm really excited that we're talking about this because every time I add it to the weekly randomizer, and I wanted to see how it was holding up. And I was like, I don't know. We've all been watching the show for a long while. Everybody's got a lot of opinions about the show. And I was not disappointed one bit when I went back and read this. This still holds true. It still reads amazing. And this blows the show out of the water 100%, in my opinion.
I don't watch the show. I've never watched the show. I know people have said you got to watch the first season, but I don't have time to be hooked on some show like that. So I've never watched it, and I never read any of the comics. The only comics I have of Walking Dead are ones that I've accumulated in mystery boxes, or maybe Chino, said, "Hey, you need to have this issue," because he owns a comic book store, and I'm like, "Thank you," but I never opened it. I told you when I first opened it up, it's black and white. The whole thing? Really? Yeah. I literally did not know that until the first time I cracked it.
Well, yeah. When you think about a story about zombies, what's the first thing that comes to mind is blood and gore. How do you do
that in black and white?
There's no color.
Yeah.
If there's no
they color, did it. I think it was great. And the one thing that I noticed in this book that stood out of all these books that I've been reading, that the word bubbles seem to be very important. I don't know, they're so pronounced when you're reading something black and white, that how much real estate they take, and when there's no color there, but how he punctuates in his word bubbles, and it just, I don't know, man. I really enjoyed that out of him.
That just speaks to Tony Moore, man. When he can
Who's Tony Moore?
The artist.
Okay.
When he can deliver that much
Tony Moore, penciler, inker, gray tones. I didn't even read that.
When you can deliver that much depth in a picture or a panel in just black and white, that's astounding.
Like when you, I don't know, just bastards.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? And the art's fantastic.
Yeah, for me, this book, I just remember at the time, I was working an annoying job at Target. There was a new comic shop that just opened on my way home. So I drove by that shop, and I kept reading in Wizard magazine at the time, of all things, about, they had this list of like top villains. And one of the top villains was a guy named the Governor. And I'm just reading about him. I'm like, that sounds super crazy and weird and interesting. And meanwhile, I was still in college. My friends were going through this old zombie movie kick. So we watched a lot of the George Romero movies. One of those George Romero movies, of course, was Night of the Living Dead, which if you read this and watch Night of the Living Dead, you can see Robert Kirkman's influences from the Night of the Living Dead all over this thing. That's why it's in black and white.
Even for the shot to the head kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was a Night of the Living Dead thing. Right?
Even Dwayne and Morgan, his son, is named after the main actor who started Night of the Living Dead.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the way he's dressed. That button down shirt with the top button undone.
Yep.
And the haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, it's case in point. It's picture perfect.
Yeah, Morgan's pretty much like a direct correlation to that character and a tribute to that character.
So You know, like I mentioned, I had seen episodes on TV where I go over to somebody's house, you know, it's on in the other room, or they're all excited about watching the next episode, and I don't watch it, so I don't really care. What a really cool way to start off this story with this guy waking up from a coma. You know, he's a cop, so that, you know, it introduces, he gets shot, he wakes up in this coma, and what the hell is going on around here? You know, I thought it was cool. Now you're following this guy around. What the hell is going on around here? That must just be creepy as all hell.
David Enrique just dropped it in the chat as well. There's another influence Kirkman had for this. 28 Days Later, it pretty much starts the same way with the guy waking up in the hospital, except those zombies are a lot faster.
Where's the first? I think the first zombie that drops that you see in this book is the one that falls out of the elevator, but you can't tell it's a zombie yet because it doesn't say anything. But when they got the doors blocked by the piece of wood, and the next panel is hey, guess what kind of book this is going to be? I was like, ooh, this is going to get good. And right off the bat, he's got one jumping on him and snaps its neck, and it doesn't kill it. This was really, really good right off the bat in the first couple pages. I keep using that off the bat. What am I talking about? Baseball season? Jeez. Anyway, I enjoyed the art on it in the black and white. Sometimes I felt maybe a little light and cartoony, you know, kind of like a Mad Magazine. It reminded me of a little Mad, like that one panel where I told you with the bastards. That reminds me of Mad Magazine, you know, that type of art. Am I totally dating myself? You guys are like, what the hell is Mad Magazine? I'm like,
no.
All right.
One of the most important panels, in my opinion, opening this book up is this one when he's leaving the hospital. See if I can get that to focus a little bit better. Look at it. You can tell fall is setting in. You can tell the grass has been unkept. You can tell the garbage is laying around. So you can tell something's up, and he's been there for a while. But, you know, all the trees, all their leaves gone. The fact that fall's setting in is an important point going into this book.
Yeah, plus you got the smashed car there with the body laying out of it. I mean, right in front of a hospital, mind you, and nobody's being taken care. Yeah. No, something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
Yeah, and then it leads into it leads into one of the more iconic panels. Was that one?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Remember that
comes back to it.
Yep. During that first season, that was one of the big moments of the show. Was when he met that zombie and walked up on that zombie.
Because he comes back to that, he gets all geared up, which I think is cool. It kind of, you know, the classic, you know, story. Hey, I got all the armory. Grab as many bullets as you can. I'm going to carry. You know, I'm going to walk out there with a bunch of guns. But the guy is with, which is kind of cool. The person in the neighbor's house who is protecting his son, who's getting hooked up with all these guns in a cop car instead of the jalopy he was driving. You know, he tells him, oh man, I don't want to lose my train though, but he goes, if you shoot, they're going to hear you. Don't waste your bullet. Every bullet you may need. And he thinks about it and he goes, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Every bullet you may need. And as he's leaving town, he stops at that one he saw. It is his way in. One bullet. Wham! Yep. You know, he may need it, but yeah, he did need it for this one out here. Anyway,
I think my one kind of hot take on The Walking Dead, especially Volume 1, is Rick is the luckiest guy in the zombie apocalypse. I mean,
right, he found his family.
Well, that all with that being said as well, he finds his family, of course, halfway through the first trade. Not only that, he survived being in a coma, just laying around, which that was a phenomenal way to start the story. I'm not criticizing that. But I think he's the luckiest because he met back-to-back, he met Morgan, who basically explained to him everything going on.
Yeah, and then later, a couple panels.
Quinn, who's one of the best survivalists throughout the entire series, and he pretty much, you know, has the balls to call him an idiot and this stuff because he is doing stupid things. He's just in the middle of Atlanta in the zombie apocalypse, and somehow Glenn gets to him before he gets eaten 10 times over. So, in my opinion, Rick Grimes is the luckiest guy in the zombie apocalypse. Well, for a while anyway. But to make the comparisons to the TV show, if you guys watch that first season, I think it's a phenomenal companion piece to this. Obviously, I think us as comic readers are probably going to drift to like this better in most cases. But if you watch that like first 6 episodes, that first season, which is all Frank Darabont directed, I think it makes a phenomenal complement to this.
Yes.
Because it basically is this, minus the weird CDC crap at the end. I don't know if that was Darabont's idea or AMC's idea to make the series different, but basically comparing the series to the overall series or the overall comic series, I feel like they use this to get from point A to point B. But obviously in the series, they go way askew from times, but they usually go back on track by each season finale.
Yeah, I was pretty saddened when Frank was no longer a part of the show because I felt like he was that beacon on the show.
Yes.
But yeah, talking about Rick, Robert Kirkman says it right in the front of the book. The idea behind Walking Dead is to stay with the character. In this case, Rick Grimes, for as long as humanly possible. I want The Walking Dead to be a chronicle of years of Rick's life. We never wonder what happens to Rick next. We will see it. The Walking Dead will be the zombie movie that never ends.
Yes. Yeah, because he would watch these zombie movies, and they'd always most of them would have these ambiguous endings. Like Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies of all time, maybe my favorite movie of all time. And it ends with 2 of the characters just getting in a helicopter, flying away from the mall, and they're just kind of looking at each other. It's like, so did we have any fuel in this? And the girl's like, not really. And then they kind of fly away and it ends more or less. And it's just ambiguous. And Robert Kirk has watched that like, I want to see this story go on. These guys are great. And then he just eventually found the way, The Walking Dead, the comic. So he created that so he could create that zombie movie that just never ends. And unfortunately, I think after a while for me reading this, it was kind of the series' detriment because once you get to issue 100, you're just depressed as all can get out because you're seeing some of these characters you've been with for that long into the apocalypse. They're not faring well after 100 issues, let alone after 190 some issues.
They weren't faring well halfway through this trade. People were getting on each other's nerves. I mean, I could just imagine how this continues on for 100 issues. You know, the drama between people just in human nature.
Well, that's just it. The story was never necessarily about the zombies. It was about the people.
And that's what TiVo just, mentioned in the chat. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I couldn't believe how much I cared about these characters by the end of this book.
Oh, just if you keep reading some of it's just kind of crazy because I think this is the first time I've reread Volume 1 and just seeing some of these characters that later down the line you see their development. Like, of course, Rick, top of the list, Carl, Andrea, Glenn. Some of these main characters that you're just introduced to, they have such wonderful arcs as they go. I think Andrea, honestly, is my favorite character in the comic after a while. Agreed. And she got nothing good done to her in the show compared to this. She's a completely different character in the comic. And of course,
is the one who had to put down her best friend from college.
Yeah, that was her sister, Amy.
Yeah,
she didn't last too long. Of course, the biggest elephant in the room, this compared to the TV series, you don't have Daryl Dixon.
I don't know who that is.
So that's people's biggest difference.
That's a great point to make. If you've never read the book and only watched the TV show, do yourself a favor and go back and read the book. The TV show doesn't do this story justice, in my opinion.
All right, so we're going to get to our panels of the week here. So I picked 2 from Andy. I mean, there was a big, long list because Tony Moore, he did the first couple trades, and eventually we get Charlie Aldred, which he made the book his own, let's be honest. But our first panel, definitely when Glenn and Rick have to go back into Atlanta to try to get some guns, and they see the tank, but it is just surrounded. Like, you can't even see, like, the ground. There's so many corpses and zombies going on.
And flies. And
it's disgusting. You look at that and they convey a level of just disgust that is amazing in just black and white.
Yeah, for me, I always thought Aldred, I liked his human characters better, but I think Tony Moore really shined when it came to drawing the zombies. And then, of course, the final one, which, spoilers, if you guys have been living under a rock since this book came out or since the TV show came out, and this, I'll be honest, this almost brought a little bit of a tear to my eye. where Carl sees fit that he has to kill Shane because he is pointing a gun at his father.
Yeah, I've never even known Shane as a character until this book, meaning that, you know, since you don't watch it, this guy was an interesting character, man. I mean, he's his cop buddy, but falls in love with his wife, and he doesn't want him to be there. There was tension. The old man told him from the first moment he showed up, hey, this guy's no good. I wouldn't trust him with my wife.
Yeah, Dale. Dale has a wonderful character arc too. That's another great character.
Yep.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, especially when Carl's just like, Dad, that wasn't the same as killing a zombie, and then Rick's like, it never should be.
Yeah.
So interesting thing, JB. Interesting thing on this is John Bernthal plays Shane in the TV show.
Yeah. I think he's one of my favorite parts of the TV show compared to the comic. I think Shane's arc may have been actually better in the TV show because he survives the campsite basically instead of getting killed at that point. They like John Bernthal so much they let the character go longer.
Yeah, and that's what I like about John. John Bernthal brings a level of sadistic craziness, like an underlying serial killerness that just kind of bubbles under the surface until, bam, there he is. He's crazy. And he does that very well as an actor. And I was just really enjoying that character until the end.
Absolutely. All right. So I think it's about time to give those CGC grades. We'll start with you, JB. What are you going to rate this one?
I'm going to go, man, compared to all the good stuff that it's now, I know grading. Oh, man. God, I know grading has to be by itself. It's not... It's set to the standards. If it's set to the standards and not compared to everything else, I'm going to put it in that 9.4. 9.4.
Nice. Yeah, I mean
9.4.
I think for me, I think I'm gonna have to go 9.8 just because, like, when you're talking, I mean, we're called modern men for a reason. If you're talking modern reads and the importance, if you're ranking your like top important modern era reads, especially like post 2000, like this has got to be like number one, if not top three. Books you would give someone to basically give them a barometer for the current climate of comic book reading. I would say probably this, Saga, and I can't even think of another one offhand. This would probably be actually top two, I would say, with Saga. So I would say 9.8 for sure here. Probably my top pick for someone. I would just give them this book, like, please read this. Except I wouldn't give them this copy because it's double signed. You know me.
Ooh.
So I got
very nice. Very nice.
Andy, what's your score, bud?
So if Saga was the book of the decade last decade, this was the book of the decade before that. What was it, 2006, 2007 it first came out? So this was definitely the book of that decade, and so I've got to give this a 9.8.
Wow.
This is the book and the story of that decade.
I think I'm maybe grading wrong, think about what we've read on this show. We've had Saga, we've had Black Hammer and Paper Girls and Southern Bastards, and we've had a lot of good stuff. You're telling me that this would be right at number one for you overall?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because I have read 100 issues of this. This is just the start of something bigger.
Okay, well, I can only go by this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No,
I got 6 issues to go with.
This is a world, JB, that you don't want to miss out on.
I can't afford any more worlds. You guys got me wrapped up in Saga and Paper Girls. And
if you were interested, there's actually a compendium edition you can get. It's almost like, I think it factors out to like less than $1 an issue. It covers issues 1 through 48, which is, in my opinion, the best run of the whole series. I mean, not to say 49 and up's bad, it's not at all. But 1 through 48, you get to see the entire arc of them trying to survive, finding this prison they get to live in for a long time and making a life of that, finding this town called Woodbury and getting to know the governor. Michonne happens. So you get to see all this stuff, and especially that whole first compendium. It's some of Robert Kirkman's finest work he'll ever do.
Man, legends. Yeah, I mean, all.
Obviously prioritizing is a thing about what you pick up and what you read, but this is one that you're gonna have to get through. Just make time for it at some point. Pick one up here or there.
Wow, Patrick says Walking Dead is better than both Paper Girls and Saga.
We got Lords of the Long Boxes in the Chase says Walking Dead got him back into collecting after stopping in 2002. I have actually heard that quite a bit from other collectors. Patrick Wall says he hated Andrea in the show and wanted her to die every episode. I've heard that from many people as well, too.
Well, yeah, the show just didn't do her justice. I mean, the character Andrea in the book is a very different departure from the character Andrea in the show. The Andrea in the book is just, oh God, I don't even know how to put it into words without really getting too crazy. But she is balls to the walls awesome in the book compared to the show.
Wow. We got Boy Who Had 7 in the chat, but
I guess I'm gonna have to go get number 2 now because I mean I'm reading the chat and this is
what, JB. I'm
gonna have to get number 2. Huh?
I already put it in the randomizer.
Put it in the randomizer already. All right, yeah.
We never know, but we got DruManchu joining
us. What's going on, fellas?
On the feed. How you doing, Drew?
Oh, just got home from work. Been a long day. We're going to hang out and we're going to talk some Walking Dead. Are you guys still reviewing the book?
We got about 30 seconds before we transition to our topic of the night. So any thoughts on Walking Dead before?
Yeah, good book. I enjoyed it. I won't bore everybody with all of my takes on it, but if I'm going to give it a score, the old CGC score, I'm going to go 9.4.
That's my score. See, you and I are on the same page. But I'm only working off of this. This is all I've ever read. I don't watch the TV show ever, so this is it.
Oh, and we got a Mastodon. How you doing, Johnny? He loves Walking Dead as well. He says you can pick up the compendiums relatively cheap if you're still looking to get an actual physical copy. And we got Air Spider 23. He is in the chat as well. And they're kind of talking the theories on how the zombie plague happened, which, hey, some of the best zombie movies, you'll never find out how all that stuff happened. But anyway,
there's some news floating around that's kind of, I don't know if it's clickbait or what, but they're trying to say that the whole zombie apocalypse started in The Walking Dead was from aliens. And everything I see says that they're talking about aliens. And I think somebody's having fun with us on that.
Kirkman once said it was aliens.
He
also said that was nonsense and that he was just messing around.
Yeah.
No. It was on the documentary about Image Comics, and he said that he was going to be given an opportunity to write a book, and he pitched something that loosely had aliens in it, and after about 6 issues, the guy's like, "Hey, where are the aliens?" He goes, "Oh, there's no aliens. Just you would have let me do a zombie apocalypse."
They wouldn't let him do the zombie apocalypse story unless he gave them a reason for them existing, and the reason he gave them was aliens, but they're never going to talk about it. So I guess in canon, it's aliens, but you're never going to know. It's over. They're not making more of it. So unless they do it on the show, which would be really dumb.
I could see them coming back with another storyline at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the show did a good job with that, with the Fear the Walking Dead, kind of showing a different version of events, kind of a different timeline. But I feel like if the book came back, it would need to have the same characters. You couldn't do the jump forward.
We got the Great Legend show in the chat. He likes him some Cactus Jack, so I guess bang bang. There's one for you, Legend. And we got Pope Cerebus the First. That guy loves him. Some of our read on here. He likes him some Saga, and I know he's read that Walking Dead. So,
and you guys, man, I just to give the crowd the update. I did finish Black Hammer.
Nice,
Black Hammer, and I'll be honest with you, I liked the way it ended. I can't believe how much I cared for them by the end of that, and I was okay with how it ended. I was happy for them. So,
it was a good ending. Apparently, there's more coming.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that, but I did finish that one, so at least I'm not spending more money on Black Hammer.
Well, did you read all the universe stuff?
No, just the four trades.
Oh yeah, there's so much more Black Hammer.
I got to get into Southern Bastards too now.
Look, there is so much more Black Hammer out there, JB. I'm going to send you a reading list.
Aye.
You know what? I might just send you some books.
And
you can read them, and then if you don't like them, you can sell them on the pop-up shop. How about that?
CWood mentioned it earlier, and my wife kind of tried to explain this we had some friends over for dinner, and I tried to explain this show. And ultimately, this is a book club, gentlemen.
That's exactly what we're doing.
it's a book club. That's
It's a straight paperback club.
This is a book club for comic books. Oh, okay.
We're not all enjoying a delightful Pinot Noir at the moment.
No, it could be.
Want to talk about the literary merits of a zombie story?
Yeah. We'll do the pinkies out.
All right, guys. Let's move this on. So tonight's topic, we're going to talk some TV shows because I figure we're eventually going to have to tackle the TV show topic at some point. And it's the end of the month, so we will throw a top 5 in there. So we're each going to cover our top 5 live-action TV shows. Once again, we'll do cartoons maybe next month, but I wanted to make sure we separated the two because it'd be insane to try to combine the two lists. We'll just go ahead and hop into Drew and Andy's number 5. I'll let Andy go first because you guys both picked at number 5. This is going to be a good transition. The Walking Dead. So Andy,
there you go.
What's up with the Walking Dead TV show?
Oh, I could do a whole nother show just on this. It started out strong in my opinion, and when there were some changes made over time, I don't feel like those changes were for the best for the show. And I feel like where it's at now it could have been a lot better. It just eked in at number 5 for me. I wanted to love it. I haven't bothered to watch the last 2 seasons of it because it just hasn't really tugged me back towards the TV at all.
Yeah, I think for me on The Walking Dead, it had a really good, strong, middle portion of their series. Pretty much kind of like the book where they're in the prison. And they changed a few things up just to improve the pacing of the series from the comic. Like they added that whole virus outbreak and that stuff. And they kind of changed up a lot of things that happened in Woodbury, but I didn't think it was for the worse. I thought it was for the better. And I just go back to that first season and think it was a very good compliment to the book, but the second season dragged on a little too long. But overall, those middle seasons, especially from the prison to the time you get to Negan, I thought were really well done.
My challenge with this show was that at some point, and I feel like it correlates when Frank left, was they switched over to a lot of CG effects instead of live action effects. So as a veteran, as a prior military member, when I see weapons being used, I want to see them actually being used. I don't want to see CG flash effects and CG cartridges coming out, or when they shoot a gun and the gun doesn't do anything and they're just kind of jerking it. It just ruins the story for me. You're doing a show that's going to set the pace for shows coming after it. And I feel like they cut the corners on a lot of that stuff in the second and third seasons. And I trudged through it, and eventually it became such a far departure from the book that it was its entirely own thing at that point.
Sure. Drew, what are your thoughts? Because you also picked it for number 5.
Yeah, and I don't think number 5 is a bad spot to be in at all. We got a lot of really great comic book shows out there. I was trying to figure out, what do I leave off of this list? And Walking Dead had to be on it. The first season, even though there were departures from the book, it was the book. The panels you saw were shown on the screen, and when it took a departure, it also built upon the world. So it had its own way of influencing the way that Kirkman wrote the book, seeing as that he was a producer on the series, and he noticed things that he would do differently throughout. And there are things like cutting off Rick's hand, which just can't happen because you can't have a terrible hook or a CG hand in every episode of every show. That's just too much. They told him right up front. They're like, no, you're not doing it. And that there's practical reasons why they didn't. The creation of the character of Daryl. If Daryl dies, we riot. I hate Daryl. Daryl was fantastic. And then all of a sudden they turn this corner with Daryl and they turn him into Tom King's Batman. He cries in every episode of this show. What a tough guy. He cries and cries and cries and cries and cries and cries and cries. That's all he does. And has a crossbow, which I like Dwight in the book. And he's kind of like a Dwight amalgam. And so Dwight, I find him repetitive and annoying on the show. But beyond that, I think the show did a lot of really great things. You didn't think they were going to do a CG tiger, and they did a CG tiger. Like they keep blowing your mind with things like, I was like, they're never going to do Negan right, and then they did Negan right, and then they did it to death, and everybody lost interest. But then they did the Whisperers, which I haven't even had a chance to watch yet, but I'm excited because I love Whisperer War so much. And then the book just ended, so they're going to end the show at some point. But they did the Fear the Walking Dead thing. They built their own universe on TV, man, and that's something that you got to applaud.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm curious to hear JB.
I cannot believe I didn't watch The Walking Dead. Now, man, you guys done blown me away. I feel like I just got to go pick up the.
I recommend
stream it right now.
It's short and sweet. It's only 6 episodes.
Just watch the first
if you like the first
episodes,
season, give season 2 a try. If you can get through season 2, you're in basically.
That was fantastic. You totally sold me on it. Now I want to tell you, if you're coming to me, man, now I'm feeling this list. You ready for this? This is my number 5. My wife and I love this freaking show, man.
I haven't had a chance to watch
you. This is how my wife and I actually love this freaking show. And if you're not watching it, you're missing out. And she's like, this is a comic book? We have the neighbors that come over and watch it with us. So, I mean, this is just one of the, when you were talking about television shows, I was like, okay, modern stuff. Oh, Daredevil, and Umbrella Academy, The Boys. And then I took, my list is a little bit more in depth because I kind of went back a little bit further. But my wife and I are like, yeah, we love this show. Put that on there. Yeah, all right. I'll put it on there. You guys got to check it out. I think they're doing a great job with this one.
Yeah, I mean to watch Cloak and Dagger at some point. I like Runaways because, hey, Brian K. Vaughan property. But I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the final season of that or any of the Cloak and Dagger stuff yet. But
on my Hulu to-do list.
Yeah, same.
It's been fun.
Interesting.
You hate.
Actually, it's one series I still need to finish, but the first season for me was so strong I had to put it on my list, and that is Legion from FX. So if you guys haven't watched Legion on FX, it's like David Lynch getting his hands on a comic book property, and it's just it's like mind-numbing how crazy the show gets. But that first season of Legion for me, were how do you make a show about David Haller? And they just make it so it almost like, is it taking place in his mind? Or is this just reality warping stuff happening? Like, what is going on? But after a point, like, it's just so visually stunning and so well acted. You're just enjoying the ride after a while. And like I said, I absolutely love Legion. Let's see. We're going to move on to number 4. We'll go with Andy and Preacher. Another one I haven't had a chance to check out.
I really enjoyed Preacher. I grew up Catholic, so it's kind of like a Monty Python's take on religion and kind of crazy. And I don't know, it's out there. If you've read the book, if you read the comic, you like it. The show kind of lines up a lot with that, and it's pretty good. It's really good, actually, in my opinion.
Is that the one that who created that one?
Garth,
Seth Rogen, like brought it to TV.
Oh man, I gotta look that up.
Yes. Yeah. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Yeah.
That's right. Evan Goldberg was the other name. I was just like, I know someone like completely like out from left field, like, I want to make the Preacher TV show because I think Garth Ennis and I think Pope Erebus put Steve Cohen on the art, of course.
They stick with the comical aspect of the comic book, like just that out there craziness. They stick with it. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's definitely over the top.
Yeah.
Going to Drew before we do, though. Donnie says we need some live action dog welder, so I'll get a
I'm down.
But Drew's number 4. We got the Umbrella Academy from Netflix.
Yeah, I think that in the way that they kind of shied away from a lot of the original story, they included a lot of the second volume, and they nailed the characters, which was really, really important to me. I think that Space Boy could have been a bigger, more gorilla-like creature. But beyond that, I think that they nailed the characterizations of all these characters, which is what's important about the Umbrella Academy. The budget was big enough that they could do some weird stuff that really, really worked out. And the visuals were striking. The music was good. Really, really good show.
Nice. Yeah, that's on my watch list on Netflix. I haven't had a chance to catch that one yet.
Same here.
But this next one for JB, I told JB, like, man, I know we're modern men, but pick your favorite shows, man. I'll just say, like, these shows are some of the basis for the creations.
I'm the oldest guy on the panel, guys. I'm the old man of the group.
You're not that old.
I'm the oldest man on the group. I'm the old man on the panel, you know, and I remember watching the reruns of Batman's, you know, I watched these reruns over and over as a kid growing up. And I'll tell you right now, I'll still watch them. I'll still
underappreciated.
They will pop on and I will still, and I will laugh and I will enjoy every single one of them. The characters, come on, man.
Yeah,
the villains.
I remember watching
awesome.
Dad, yeah. These were good.
Growing up,
great.
It was in syndication on Channel 4 out of Indianapolis, Indiana. It was always at like 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I'm just trying to wait for cartoons to come on, like Garfield, Ninja Turtles. And I remember just Adam West and Burt Ward running around fighting a guy named Eggman. And every episode I felt like it end, they're just always in peril. And I was like, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm like, it's in syndication. It's not the same bat time.
There's people that don't even know what that means when I say it now. They're like, I don't get it. What does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most influential shows ever.
It's the most upsetting thing in the world.
Yeah. If not
just to come back at the same time on the same channel and not get Batman.
It's probably like without that show, we probably wouldn't have Batman today. They almost canceled Batman for DC Comics.
Shark repellent. Remember the Batman shark repellent?
They kept it running long enough for it to, you know, eventually be successful in the 70s and then finally get to its renaissance in the 80s. But let's see what my number 4 was. Oh, yeah, you know me. I got to pick Doom Patrol. I had to give Doom Patrol some love. Not enough people, in my opinion, talk about Doom Patrol. I think it's the finest show on the DC streaming network. Oh man, you got Brendan Fraser as Robot Man. Absolutely hilarious, but he can also be serious when the show takes that serious turn. And I just like Negative Man's pretty awesome. And actually, all the characters are awesome. And Crazy Jane, she kind of just steals the show after a while. But yeah, it's just almost kind of like goes to my previous point on Legion. It's just like, how do you make this into a TV show? Because it's just, you got that Grant Morrison storyline in the comic, which is just, you know, it's a mind effer, basically. I don't want to swear too much on this show, but it blows your mind, basically. It's just hard to adapt that from page to the TV medium, but somehow they find a way to actually do it. And it's just, I highly recommend checking out the only season that's out right now. I think hopefully soon we get a season 2, but definitely highly recommend season 1.
Almost made my list, CWood. Yeah. Probably a really close runner-up, maybe 8 or 9 in my top 10. And Alan Tudyk, man.
Oh, yeah.
Alan Tudyk.
Oh, man.
Is the villain and the narrator, and it is amazing.
Yeah, it's just like he's sitting there, like he's just talking. He comes off so naturally, just like, these idiots on this television show. I don't know why you're at home watching this. He's wearing like a Doom Patrol ball cap. He's just absolutely hilarious. All right, let's go into our number 3 picks. And Andy picked one I didn't even think of. I don't know why I didn't. So huge shout out to Andy on this one. Tales from the Crypt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So what was it?
Very nice.
Title's based on the 1950s EC comic series with the same name, and this show ran from 1989 to 1996 on HBO.
Oh so yeah.
If anybody's around my age group, that's about the time that you're supposed to be in bed when it pops up on HBO, and you sneak down to the bottom of the stairs and you're peeking around trying to watch it. And then next thing you know, you wish you wouldn't have watched it because you got nightmares the rest of the night. So that was
very cool
show when I was a kid growing up that you weren't supposed to watch and weren't supposed to be up for, but mom and dad were definitely watching on TV, you know?
Yeah, I remember like watching that and like what I think it was the early 90s basically. And that Crypt Keeper, he was iconic up there with the horror host for a minute there. I just remember he was on like every poster in the movie stores and that type of stuff.
Well, you know,
great anthology TV.
Mm-hmm. They're talking about doing a reboot of this too.
Oh, interesting.
That would be cool.
I just want more original Twilight Zone. Like that was my anthology TV series, but Tales from the Crypt, really good pull.
Like that. Yeah,
that's a good one. Great call on that one.
But Drew, this one for me, it was almost on my list. I decided to pick one CW show, but we'll get to my list here in a bit. But Drew, you picked Arrow.
And I'll tell you why. I don't even watch Arrow. After season 2, I checked out. But no Arrow, no Flash, no Legends of Tomorrow, no Supergirl, no Crisis crossover, no Black Lightning. You know, without the success of a show like Arrow, do you think the CW is going after Archie properties to do Riverdale? No, there's no way, right? They see these characters, this IP, as something that is important, and that is because of the success of Arrow, which basically became Batman on TV with a Green Arrow skin on it. And say what you want about how repetitive the fight scenes are, or how terrible the relationship stuff is, or how much they botched, you know, Ra's al Ghul. It doesn't matter. Arrow will have its place on this list because of what it did for comic book TV. It opened the doors for a lot of other properties, and there are a lot of people I know out there who love these big crossovers. Without the success of Arrow, you get none of that.
Yeah, I mean, Arrow's so successful that, I mean, it basically reinvigorated the CW network. They've built their whole network around DC television shows now, and just comic book properties in general, like Riverdale and everything else they're going to build around that now. But yeah, it almost made my list, but I think you guys at this point can guess what my top is going to be. But nonetheless, we'll move on to JB's number.
The Black Lightning?
No, it's Legends number 1, I think. But anyway, JB's number 3 has almost made my list as well. The Boys from Amazon.
What can you say about this, guys? I mean, this was graphic. This was adult. I had never read the comics, and I had to go get my hands on some of these because all I heard was the comics was even worse. Like, wait a minute. How can the comics be even more graphic and gory than this? And it was. They are. I was blown away by this, and I'm really looking forward to season 2 to see what happens.
So was the Invisible Man.
Oh yeah. How they get rid of him? That was crazy.
Right up there.
Yeah, right up. Yeah. Guess what? How can we get in there?
This almost made my list, and the only reason why it didn't make my list is just because it's only in its first season, and I want to see more.
Yeah, same here. But for my number 3, if it went more than one season, it'd probably be higher. But obviously, it just got canceled. I got to talk about the Watchmen, though. Who watches?
Got canceled already?
Definitely this guy. Yeah, Lindelof.
Not canceled. They're just not going to do more.
Yeah.
It's a one and done. It's a great limited series. Just let it be what it is, and I respect that.
Yeah,
what they should have done in the comics.
Made one season of television. He said, "I got one season in me." So successful, but HBO's like, well, if the show creator's out, we're out. So I think Lindelof learned his lesson from Lost. That went on for 6 seasons, which after season 1, they kind of tell you they have a plan, and by season 6, they kind of convince you they didn't. So I think in Watchmen, he's like, I'm going to focus on one season of television, and that's it. And boy, it was a great season of television. I think the people who've seen it, I think mostly agree on that. It's a very solid follow-up to the comic book. They actually provoke a lot of thought in terms of like some of the things that happened in the original 85 comic. Like you never really thought about, when Dr. Manhattan goes to Vietnam and actually wins the war. Now it's a U.S. property. You get to see characters from that show grow up in Vietnam, and it looks like they're in America because it's an American-owned territory now. Just little things that they grow on, big things like that. And then you get to see other characters, besides, the ones in the comic react to what, Ozymandias did. And it's just a lot of cool stuff they introduce in this series that really makes you think about some of the repercussions of the Minutemen in the comic. So, Drew, did you have anything to add to that? Because I know you picked it as well on your list at number 1.
Yeah,
wow.
This was the best single season of television this year by far, and in a long time, in my opinion. I think that this perfectly complements the book. I think better than anything else they've done with them outside of it. I think DC did the before Watchmen stuff, and there's been some, the Doomsday Clock stuff. Say what you want about all of that. I think that this is the best tie-in to that book. It has the exact same tone politically that a lot of people, critics of this show, want to talk. Oh, it's too political. Read the Watchmen again. That is all politics. It's all politics thrown in your face. It's just a different time, so you see it differently. I think that this was just the star power. You didn't see it going into this thing, right? But everybody plays their part perfectly. The Senator is just a great casting. What Lady True is a fantastic character. What they did with Ozymandias and how they kept him off the board the entire season was inspired and wonderful and imaginative. And I just can't say enough things about it, man. This is just perfect as a series. I even thought at one point, I believe I had told most of you that I thought it jumped the shark. The shark. And then like the next episode, they were like, no, we're not jumping the shark. We're jumping every shark you could possibly imagine. And it's going to blow your mind. And it did. It landed so well that I can't say that I didn't have my doubts midway through this show. And I think the fact that it rebounded so well might be why I love it so much. But man, fantastic stuff.
All right. So this next pick from Andy is actually Andy's number 2, Drew's number 2, and my number 1. So we're all going to talk about it together. We'll start with Andy here, though, because he's technically next. Daredevil.
Now, I didn't grow up being the biggest Daredevil fan, but I've chipped away at it, and I've grown to love him more and more. This show just drew me in, and I'll leave it with this. Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal of the Kingpin, by far the greatest portrayal of the Kingpin ever. And I got to have him back. I got to have that back. I got to have that universe back. And if you bring that back, you got to have John Bernthal back. You got to have the Punisher. You got to have everything back. Vincent D'Onofrio killed it in that show. Everybody else did a really good job. I really liked that. And I wanted more. When they canceled that, I was really kind of crushed. And it was about what, property rights? It was they didn't end the show because it wasn't doing good. It was about who owned what, I think. Is that correct, guys?
Absolutely, yeah. So basically because the invention of Disney Plus and Disney reining in all of their properties, I think they're making a power play here because Netflix had a deal when they had it and they're canceling this stuff. They can't use the IP for 2 years, basically. So once
it'll end up on FX.
Hopefully they try to get the cast and crew back together. Whether it be Disney Plus, there might be something cooking up on FX, maybe on top of everything else. I don't know how true.
For a while there was rumor that they were cooking it up for Hulu or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. But hopefully, I think someone at Disney seriously interested in getting Charlie Cox and the rest of the gang back to continue Daredevil.
Yeah,
Drew, what are your thoughts on it? Because it's your number 2 as well.
Yeah, everything that Arrow did for the CW, Daredevil did better. The Defender series might have been a little underwhelming once we got there. We might not have gotten the Iron Fist that a lot of people wanted. The second half of Luke Cage season 1 might be the worst that the Netflix MCU ever was. But Daredevil started it all. Daredevil had 3 very strong seasons. The second season, better than the first, in my opinion, which is like a big hurdle because Vincent D'Onofrio was so great. And not until we got the Punisher did we really even know how brutal this universe could be. And that's after we saw the Punisher take the guy's head off with a car door and smash his father's head in with a hammer as a small child. Like, so this was gritty. It was real. It was grounded. And there was enough mysticism in there for you to know that you were having fun at the same time. The fight choreography in Daredevil has been second to none. The cinematography does leave a little bit to be desired, but it's a TV show. What do you want, man? It's so great as a TV show. And it was my must-have reason for Netflix for a while was all the Marvel stuff they were putting out.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be my number one for me. I think it's, of all of the shows I was saying, I think it's the most well-crafted per season. That first season, especially in terms of fight choreography and like that episode 2 hallway fight, some of the best action. I mean, it's up there with some of the best movies.
Yes.
Not to mention, you already mentioned D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Phenomenal. Charlie Cox as Daredevil was awesome. Deborah Ann Wool's Karen Page was amazing.
Yeah.
Even the dude from Mighty Ducks is Foggy.
I thought Foggy was a better casting than Karen. By season 2, I'm just like, Karen, when are you going to die?
I don't disagree with that. I agree with Drew on that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the whole cast did great. I think season 3 is honestly my favorite, though. They start incorporating, the FBI and like it you think it's in the MCU, which it technically is, basically, but you see like all of these other like legal branches finally start looking at New York, and it's like, what is going on? And like Kingpin's pulling like all these plays, and you get to see the rise of the Kingpin and the fall of Daredevil at the same time. So they steal a lot of stuff from the comics, especially Born Again, and it's, hey, guess what's going on in the randomizer tonight? But by the time you get to the final episode of the series, the tension between Kingpin and Daredevil you could cut it with a knife. So when the characters face off and Bullseye's thrown in there too,
thank you.
Like, it's almost not even completely crazy and cheesy that when they see each other, it's like, and then they start like just wailing on each other. But it works in context to the entire build up in the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why I was really crushed when they decided to end that and fight over the property, because they introduced Bullseye, and I was like, oh my God, here we go. And then done. Oh
yeah. I don't think we've seen the last of Daredevil though, but like I said, it's a solid 3 seasons of television. Rather they decide to I just want to see him integrated into the MCU, maybe one of the movies, if nothing else, because I think he's done such a good job, Charlie Cox, along with anyone else they've casted in the movies, that he at least deserves like basically a thumbs up from that crew on that side. So moving on, we got JB.
Hold on. Don't reveal it yet. So this is going to probably come off like comedy relief a little bit, but before you show my number 2 and number 1, keep in mind, I sat down with a list. You guys forwarded a list, and I printed them out. My wife and I said, which ones mean something to you? Which ones actually, do you have some feelings for? And number 2 and number 1 have feelings for me because I was a kid. I was just a kid, and I enjoyed the hell out of these because I watched them with my dad. My dad was a single father, so these next 2 shows have huge meaning for me personally. So yeah, now you can go ahead and show number 2 because you're gonna laugh. But man, Wonder Woman growing up for me, this was in the sweet spot. I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and I remember watching this. You got to think that if this show wasn't successful, then a lot of the things that came after it would have never happened. And this was what, 1975 through 79, guys. 75 through, you guys weren't even born. The hell with you guys.
I used to watch Wonder Woman all the time.
Right?
There were reruns.
Fond memories of this show and my number 1 pick, because that went a little bit longer and it was an even more sweet spot of my youth. But that's why that's my choice.
Oh yeah, the chat, especially Legends, going crazy about Linda Carter, by the way. But no, I love your top choices, man, because I'm just going to go to your number 1 as well, because I want to build up to Andy's number 1, which no one will guess ever. But anyway, your number 1 pick probably should have made my list as well. The Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. You can't go wrong there. Jamie, tell me about it.
This is definitely this. I was between 5 and 10 years old, and this was must-see TV for me. Must-see TV. I looked so forward to the next episode of The Incredible Hulk growing up, and every episode, I kind of reminds me of what Mandalorian's doing, where each one is a self-contained little episode. He's going to have this adventure. Something's going to happen. He's going to get upset. We're going to see Green Hulk. I love this show growing up, man. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this was like, I think it was on the Sci-Fi Channel when I was a kid, and I would watch this thing. And
the piano music.
Yep. It's just like one of those instances, like you don't see enough risks and comic book TVs and movies today. In my opinion, this was a little bit of a risk, just because, like, when you think Incredible Hulk, you have to have some sort of budget for Hulk and his fights and that stuff. But you don't really think about the impact that has on Bruce Banner a lot of time. And when they made their show, you get to see a lot of these dramatic elements with Bill Bixby as David Bruce Banner and him going from town to town and just trying to, deal with being the Hulk, trying to help people at the same time and do the right thing. But he's afraid, like, if he hangs around a town or gets to know people for too long, he'll be wanted, because in the series, what was it? He killed his wife or his wife got killed in the incident, and they think he killed his wife, so he's on the run from the law because of that, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't him though. It was the one-armed man. Oh wait,
Exactly.
that's the wrong show.
No, that's a different movie. What the hell's wrong with you?
So,
I love this show, man. I love the Incredible Hulk.
It's definitely a phenomenal show. So we'll go into Andy's
Hulk
number
versus Thor comes up. I love the trial of the Incredible Hulk with the Daredevil. That was first MCU crossovers, man.
Right?
Good stuff.
So before Andy talks, any guesses what his number one may be?
I don't think the chat's ever going to get this number one pick.
Oh, come on. This is the easiest.
Let's just put it up because we're running out of time here. Punisher, Andy, go.
Oh my Lord. How do I not pick this as my top live action TV show based on a comic book? And John Bernthal is the Punisher. Just is the Punisher. The only critique that I would really make about this show is I wish the people casting, directing, producing would attach a couple of Marine Corps veterans to John Bernthal so that some of the little nuances they work out where the writers just kind of fit stuff in. And it's like, Marines don't do that. Marine veterans don't do that. No, John Bernthal is the Punisher. They got to bring him back. This show did it for me. The end of season 1 where they work in Jigsaw, main protagonist for the Punisher for a long time, and to have Jigsaw on the screen was phenomenal in my opinion. Could it be written a little bit better? Sure. Could it be filmed a little better? Sure. But this is by far, a lot of people are going to agree with me, this is by far the best iteration of the Punisher on the screen ever. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, it's it for me.
I would only argue that he was better in Daredevil season 2 than he was in his entire solo series. That would be my only argument for that. That's why Daredevil gets the nod.
I don't disagree with that. And I think it's because they had a plan to cut things short because of the dispute.
I mean, I honestly, I would have put Jessica Jones on my list if we got 10. I'd have put Punisher on my list if we got 10. That's why Daredevil got the nod instead, in my opinion, because I liked Bernthal as the Punisher, but I thought that everything he did on the Daredevil series was more
that fight
iconic than anything he did. Like the fight scene in the was it season 2 where he had the fight scene in the bathroom? No, in season 2 of the Punisher, had the fight scene in that bar bathroom.
Okay, yeah.
That was cool. But like beyond that, I thought that all the prison fight scene in season 2, his stuff with Daredevil, his conversations, I thought that was all better in the Daredevil series than he was in Punisher. Just because he didn't have as many cool characters to play off of.
I actually do agree with Drew on this. I really do. I feel like they could have done a lot better with season 1 and season 2 of Punisher, but I got to put that as my first. I got to put that as my number 1,
Sorry, I was too busy typing. The Legends distracted me in the chat. But anyway, I realized I forgot to do my number 2 pick.
Who do you look for, number 2?
The Flash. We didn't talk about the Flash at all on these lists. So I picked the Flash. I agree with every point Drew made about Arrow. Definitely they reshaped an entire television network based on this show. But I think the Flash has the biggest contribution to that because Arrow started off, it was like Batman wrapped in a green arrow, tinfoil, whatever. Once you get the Flash, though, they started taking a little bit more risks. They stepped out of that gritty shadow that Zack Snyder tried to make with the Man of Steel and that Nolan made with the Batman Begins franchise. And they're like, you know what? I think these comic fans want to see people in costumes doing superhero things. They want to see the villains actually called the villains. They want to see Vibe crack the jokes and make the names and that stuff. So I think that's when they really started looking at the source material, just saying like, we'll try to make it look kind of real, but they're going to be in the costumes. You'll enjoy it. And that really started to spread like wildfire on the CW network. And now you're starting to see it on other networks and TV shows as well, where they're just like, it's based on this, that's what you're going to get. So, like, for instance, Doom Patrol, they actually have Robot Man and all these other crazy characters around now. And I don't think any of that would be responsible without the Flash.
Yeah.
Chaos in Comics says Jessica Jones season 1 was really good after Legend called me a mark for liking it. Season 1 was really good, and then he says it fell off after. No, season 2 sucked. Season 3 was really good. Season 3 of Jessica Jones, underrated. Give it a shot, man. You get Hellcat in costume. So that happens for only one little panel, but it's still fun.
So honorable mentions real quick, because we are kind of almost out of time here. So I had to put Smallville on my honorable mentions list just because we talked about Arrow and that stuff. We wouldn't even have got there if it wasn't for Smallville. I didn't pick it, though, because it went on like 5 seasons too long. But Smallville I love that show.
I have no love for Smallville because, you know, they wait until the very last season for him to put the freaking costume on. He was Superman for way longer than he should have been without a costume. That pisses me
off. Yeah, anyway. We'll keep going after that. I love me some Smallville. It was a hard watch. I will never watch that show again. Maybe the first season and the last season, but that middle season was a bog down for that whole series. Definitely Jessica Jones season 1, like you just mentioned. A great first season of television. The second season derailed that show completely, and the third season did their best to salvage everything. Andy, you got some picks for honorable?
The Tick.
Nice.
I'm surprised.
Good things.
I'm surprised nobody else brought it up, but the Tick, honorable mention. I almost eked that up into 5th place, but you know, the Tick, Jessica Jones, Fear the Walking Dead, The Boys, and The Witcher all made my honorable mentions. You know,
Drew.
Yeah, I think that I talked about most of my honorable mentions, but I have a soft spot in my heart for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that show is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think Sabrina was a really good show on Netflix, so check that out.
Yeah. You just nailed it.
Not that one, but yeah, that one too. It's a fun show.
Yeah, Comic Core, that was my honorable mention. The Greatest American Hero.
Nice.
Greatest American Hero. There you go. A little Shazam action for you there. Even though he's not Shazam, he's Shazam.
Oh, and then just because Legend's in the chat, I'll mention it. Riverdale, # Team Veronica. There you go, Legend.
That's yeah. Riverdale's good stuff. Riverdale's good.
All right. So we're at the end of the show here. And as you guys know, we at the top of the show, we talked about Walking Dead. The reason why we talked about Walking Dead is because we do a randomizer here on Modern Men every week where we let you guys put your suggestions in the chat. Then we throw in a big old randomizer. We draw out that randomizer one time, and then we're going to see what we're going to read next week on this show. So, guys, go ahead and start pouring in those randomizer picks now, and we'll get them together. So far, before I do the show screen, I only got 2 picks in there so far. Walking Dead Volume 2, Daredevil Born Again. So do you guys have any picks you want me to add to this thing while the chat has their suggestions coming in?
Have we done God Country?
We have not.
That's a great pick.
Have we done I really want to
what about Oblivion Song?
Again. Ooh, Oblivion Song's a good one.
Song. Yep.
How about Descender Volume 1?
Descender, yep. How about some DC stuff, Carson?
Yeah, how about All-Star Superman?
Okay, it's going in the list.
Daredevil Reborn.
Already got it.
Okay.
What'd you mention? Descender. I was going to put Descender in there.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Dark Knight Returns.
Great pick there.
How about Astonishing Spider-Man and Wolverine? That's a really good story. Just read that recently.
You know what? What about the Life of Spider-Man? I heard that was a really good
Life
one.
of Spider-Man.
I haven't read them all.
Yeah, Spider-Man Life Story. Put that on.
Spider-Man Life Story.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come.
I think we're saving that one.
Yeah, keep Kingdom Come out of the randomizer for. We're saving that for a special show.
We gotta put Watchmen in there for Legend.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll do Watchmen.
Marvel's 94 comes up every week, so it's going in.
Ooh, what about Preacher?
Okay. How about we throw another great trade that people can go out and get for $9.99, and that's Chew Volume 1.
Yes, thank you.
Donnie says Wanted. I'm putting that in there. That's Mark Millar,
7 to Eternity.
How about Jonathan Hickman's Manhattan Project?
Manhattan Project.
How about 7
I'll
to
put it east of west while we're doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, what about Little Bird?
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah, we can do Magic Order.
Okay. Magic Order. Let's get some picks from the chat here. Let's see what else we got.
You know what? Carson, throw Ultimates in there.
I'm going to throw Spawn in there, Chris Barrett. We'll see what happens. Let's make this interesting.
I hope not.
Die's going in.
Some DC love. How about Death of the Family? Or Death in the Family, I'm sorry. Not of the Family.
Oh, the death of Jason Todd?
Yes.
What about Immortal Hulk, the first?
Ooh, yeah.
trade?
And then we're going to go Immortal Hulk. And then actually I'm going to pick
Under the Hood.
And then we're going to go. What did you just mention, JB?
Immortal Hulk.
All right, so we're going to go to the chat for 1 or 2 more picks.
Wicked and Divine from Chaos and Comics.
That is absolutely going in. I love that. I think one more. I think he's talking about Black
Kill
Monday
the Minotaur.
Murders. I'm putting Black Monday Murders and then Kill the Minotaur, and we're cutting it there.
Okay.
Capping the line. Capping the line, folks.
Love these picks rolling in. So we could stay here all night picking things, I'm sure. So I love it. People are getting into this. This is great. So I'm going to go the share screen gimmick here. We're going to gimmick it up. There is the randomizer. So I'll roll over this one time, show all the picks. We'll randomize, and then we will go home, basically. So Walking Dead Volume 2. We read Volume 1, so I think we're all kind of excited to maybe dive in the universe further. Daredevil Born Again. That's probably just going to be on there until it wins. I don't even know what is it, Blue Monday or Black Monday Murders?
Black Monday Murders.
I thought it was Black Monday, unless there's 2 of them. But anyway, Darth Vader Volume 1. I know JD's a huge Darth Vader guy. God Country, All-Star Superman, Descender, Oblivion Song, Dark Knight Returns, Spider-Man Life Story, Watchmen, Marvels. Oh, wait a minute, that's 2. Marvels, and then Preacher. So there we go. Chew, Wanted, not Watchmen, Wanted. Manhattan Project, East of West, Little Bird, Magic Order, Spawn, Die, Death in the Family, Immortal Hulk, Wicked plus Divine, Black Monday Murders, Kill the Minotaur, and then here we go. We're just going to hit it one time to see what happens. Daredevil Born Again. Ooh. All right. I've been wanting to read that again for sure. Oh, I'm so happy that won. So next week, Chris Barrett finally gets his wish. We're going to be reading some Daredevil Born Again. Maybe, in my opinion, the best Marvel story. Period.
The best Marvel story. Period.
In my opinion, my personal favorite Marvel story.
Looking forward to this.
Read more Marvel, man. That's
I don't mean to overhype it, but it's my favorite Marvel story ever. And so Frank Miller goodness right there, just as important as his DC work and all that good stuff. Cannot wait to get your guys' thoughts on that. But it is the end of the show. So Drew, where can people find you?
Oh, you guys can find me here on the Comic Core, powered by the Hero Initiative. And you can also find me on the S&B Network, dropping reviews with Jason Cantu and the Cantu Manchu review crew. So go over there, check us out. And I don't know, tomorrow's my birthday. I might do a little live stream on my channel. I don't do that a whole lot, but you know, I'm off during the day, so I don't know what's going on. And I might be bored. So yeah, we might do that.
All right, awesome. What about you, JB? You got something going on like every 2 hours on your channel. Where can people find you next?
Going live in 45 minutes, Disco After Dark. Tomorrow is a sorting show. Just going to sort maybe a short box and a half, maybe 2 short boxes full of books to get ready for Wednesday's pop-up shop. Yeah, you know, staying busy.
Awesome. Andy?
And by the way, hold on, Drew, if you want to know what's on tomorrow, go ahead and check my page.
I can totally do that.
That's Discovery Bay Comics on YouTube. ComicManAndy, where can people find you?
Well, hopefully here in a little bit, JB might send me that link for Disco After Dark. I'll hang out with them. And I'm thinking I'm going to go live on my own channel for some Bolo box unboxing tomorrow from Women's Comics and Bolo and our Pinkies Out podcast. We should be doing another episode here in a couple of weeks. Gotten some pretty good feedback on that and having fun with that. And
see all those books over there. I gotta sort through all that shit.
You can find me here on the Comic Corps, powered by the Hero Initiative.
Yeah, big shout out to the Hero Initiative. Definitely hit up heroinitiative.org to see how you can be a hero and give back to some of these creators in need. But until next time, big thanks, guys. JB, you want to sign us out?
Don't forget, we had a good time.
Yeah, we did. Comic